This video is for topic area 4, creating a marketing mix to support a product, and this is 4.7, the product life cycle. So the product life cycle is essentially a set of steps where the average product usually goes through these 5 stages at some point during its lifespan. So here's some examples of products currently at those 5 different stages. For example, flying cars. Now these are something that are actually in development at the moment. So they're in the process of being created, being tested, and at some point in the next few years they will become on the market. Then you've got smart glasses. Now they've been introduced to the market where they are available for purchase, but they're very new into the market and they've got low sales at the moment. Then we've got an item that is currently in growth. So they're earpods for different brands, but obviously the Apple brand seems to be the major leader in this market. And they are currently at an increase in sales. So that is a market that is on the rise. Then we've got iPhone. Now, any iPhone is basically the market leader in phone sales at the moment. And that is what we call maturity. It is at its sort of peak, its highest sort of level of sales, and it doesn't look like it's showing any signs of decline. An item that is showing decline is things like DVD players and CD players as well. They are in a decline because less and less people are buying them for obvious reasons, mainly because there is Blu-ray available, but also a lot of people stream their media content nowadays as well. So the life of a product is where it actually sits within those 5 stages, and it's usually judged on sales. So that means that some products are going to go through those stages at different rates. For example, the iPhone that we just looked at is at the maturity stage, and it's basically been there for quite some time now because it's not really showing any evidence of decline. Now, not all products are going to follow the full life cycle. For example, the first Coca-Cola bottle was actually produced in 1894, and it's still the market leader today, so it hasn't shown any signs of decline. So this is the product life cycle diagram. It has the 5 stages that we need to be aware of across the bottom, and it shows what usually happens with a product. So we can see at the beginning there are 2 lines that we can look at. We have the sales line, and we can see what happens to sales as we go through those 5 stages of the life cycle. At the beginning, obviously the sales are reasonably low, and then as we start to introduce it properly to the market, it takes a rise. Then we start to grow, so we really start to see a big increase in sales. And then when we're the market leader, we have a big rise of sales at the top, and it usually peaks and then starts to take a decline. And when the sales start to drop again, it is called a decline. When we look at profits, you might notice that the arrow takes a slightly different style. So as we see here, the sales are actually below 0, which means we're making a little bit of, the profits are below 0, which means we're making a bit of a loss. That's because we've got a lot of outgoing costs for the product development. So because we are spending quite a lot of time producing the item and spending money to get it to work and test it properly, and then to start spending money on marketing as we introduce it to the market, you can see that all the profits are below 0 at the moment. We are making a loss. As the item starts to grow, this is where we will start to see an increase in profits. Now, our profits, as soon as they start to go down, you will see that they start to follow the same kind of pattern. So as there is a little bit of a decrease in sales around this mark, we see the profits start to go down as well. Now, what happens during each of those 5 stages? So what specifically happens during each one? You might be expected to explain what is happening at each of these 5 stages. So they can follow different patterns, obviously, but it's always dictated by sales. So if you are given a description and it talks about whether the profits are going up or down, or whether sales are going up or down, you should be able to figure out around about which stage the product is at. So we can see the 5 stages again. It's really important that you learn all of these with the development, introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. And you need to be aware of what's happening with the profits and the sales at each of these points. So during the development stage, the business is researching and developing the new product. Product testing and trials will also take place at this stage, and the product is not actually yet ready to be sold. This means that you haven't made any sales yet, and the development costs means that you are currently making a loss. When we get to the introduction stage, the business is going to launch the product on their chosen market. The product is now available to be sold, and the business will begin to advertise their product. Because the product is only just being launched, the sales are probably going to be quite low, and you're going to take a loss because you're spending money on marketing and your sales are currently at a low rate. During the growth stage, the customers are basically becoming more familiar with your product and the sales are starting to increase. At this stage, during the growth stage, is the highest rate of sales of the increase. So in other words, the sales are increasing at the highest possible rate of the life cycle. If the product is successful, then lots of competitors will start to arise at this stage. For popular products, the sales are going to grow very quickly and profits should be made where it maxes out at the end of this stage. During the maturity stage, the sales have reached their highest point. This means the number of new customers is likely to be reducing, and lots of competitors have probably entered the same market. This means that your sales have probably reached the highest point, the market is saturated, and the profits are going to start to fall due to the larger increase of competitors. In the decline stage, this is where the sales are in a decline. Advertising is likely to be reduced or removed, and eventually the product will be removed from sale. Or attempts can be made to rescue the product and extend its life, which we'll be looking at in a further video. So at this point, the sales are falling as the product becomes less popular, and the product profits will continue to fall. So that is a look at the product life cycle and how it works. If you've got any questions, send me an email and I'll get back to you.